No, that is how it is. First, there needs to be value to your product. You need to know what your product is doing. You need to know how stable your product or service is. Once you've developed that sort of level of confidence, that is when you approach an agency. You have to convince the agency or the reporter of the value that your product or service is bringing to the market. And that's when you actually go and approach a journalist or a PR agency for your company. Now, if you never start a company and say, okay, this is my idea and I'm going to go to an agency or I'm going to go to a reporter and just give my idea. You don't do that because it'll be like, where's the product? Most of the times, if you say, okay, let me give you a pre-launch story to a reporter, they will turn you down. Reason being, they want the actual product in the market because then they link their story to your product or service, right? They want, obviously, if you are giving them a story, they are also getting clicks from your page or your company profile page. They're getting clicks too. So it's a balancing act. You're getting something out of it. They too will want to get something out of it. So always go to a reporter or an agency once you have a product which is stable and you know you cannot get bad reviews out of it. Okay. This is just an example of how PR helps, what it does for a company. So we had a client who provided white label storage, cloud storage. They tried for 6 months to get PR. They came on TechCrunch after a 6-month period of going to people, going to reporters. And the minute they did it, they saw a 10x increase in their user base, in their inquiries, just through one TechCrunch article. Now, there was a lot of learning from this. The learning was simple, that you cannot just go with a plain story, and just say, oh, can you print? No, it took them 6 months of work of actually going at it, doing the angles over and over again, and then coming to the perfect angle. Okay, we actually had another client who was in the big data business, right? Again, wanted to be featured in the big guns. Their launch story had already happened. This is 6 months down the road. They wanted another story. What do you go with? Do you go with the launch story? Do you go with the product story? Or do you go with any other angle that would be useful to the reporters? So here's what we did. They had very good CSR opportunities. They created these opportunities for low-income workers to work from home. So if I presented the product story of where the product is now and the CSR story, which do you think the writer would kind of go for? Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. The writers went for the CSR story. They're like, look, product happened, launch happened. We're not going to do just a fluffy story about the company and what it's doing and who are its big clients. We want something which is newsworthy. So they went for the CSR story. And then, yes, they got coverage in Guardian. They got an interview with the CNBC because you are bringing value to their news channel. The news channel or the newspaper is actually bringing out a story which is giving, say, a human aspect to it. So don't be afraid to try different angles. One angle may not work. There will always be another angle. Again, another example was we handled a crowdfunding campaign in Korea. And the product was really good. It was extremely innovative. It broke its barrier, became the highest crowdfunded product in Korea. Again, initially people covered the product. While the campaign was going on, they covered the product because it was a disruptive product, completely new, nothing had been seen before. But after the campaign finished, what did they go for? They went for the fact that it was the largest campaign in Korea. It raised the most amount of money to date. So that was the story that they were going after, rather than just simply a product story. Yes, everybody loves a good product. What do you do when you have when there are times where you've done the product story, you've done your launch story, you've done your funding story? being a startup, there can never be a quiet time. I mean that should be key. You should always make sure you're in the news somehow. You either are in a website, you have your own platform, you go on LinkedIn, you go on Medium, you post thought leadership articles. There are a ton of articles that you can post, but the fact is it has to be quality and it has to be frequent. There cannot be radio silence for 6 months. You don't want to, because there's so much noise out there's so many startups. You don't want to be somebody that's like, oh yes, I remember you, I heard about you back in the day. You don't want to be part of that sort of bandwagon. Okay, so before we go into the nitty-gritties of the pure PR, and then we can have an activity as well. Any questions so far? Okay, moving forward. So step one, before anything, how do you start your campaign, or how do you start approaching PR? So there are a bunch of steps. Okay, the first thing is you have to create a press kit. A press kit is something that is distributed to all journalists with your story. So the whole complete story, so that they have all the information on hand. Step one in creating a press kit is the boilerplate. Step two is the elevator pitch, then your press release, images, and then other items, right? Which are all supplementary items. So step one is the boilerplate. Now, what is a boilerplate? It is a unit of writing which is usually about 100 to 150 words. In those words, you have to describe who you are, what you do, what service are you providing, what is your team like, anything that basically that you can use over and over again. The boilerplate remains static. So you will not include anything like funding figures or anything that would change over time. This is something that you add at the end of every press release when it says about the company. That's where you add it down. That's your boilerplate. The boilerplate is something that you can send over as an introduction to people who want it via email. But it has to be something super quick, short, and extremely to the point, right? So these are the kind of points you have to bear in mind. Has to be short. It has to have the SEO keywords in it, so that if anybody is searching for you, they can easily find it. Most importantly, it has to give your value proposition of your company. That is step one. What is the value that my company is bringing to you, right? Describe your strengths. What are you doing? Specific metrics. Use words that position you against your competitors. Always include a link to your website. Always include contact details, right? So just a short 100 to 150 word template that can be used over and over again, right? It's as simple as that. Again, don't use things in it that need to be changed. Yes, after 3-4 years, you may need to revisit it. After a year, maybe if your management has changed, if you've been bought out, or there's significant structural changes to your product, your company, yes, then obviously the boilerplate completely gets a revamp. But make sure that once done, once approved, that is your standard go-to boilerplate. The next one is the most interesting one. It's called the elevator pitch. Why is it called the elevator pitch? Because it's a one-line description of your company. Imagine Mark Zuckerberg in a lift, in an elevator, and you walk in. You don't even have time to be starstruck. You just have to pitch in one line because he's getting off on the next floor. So this has to be completely perfect. In one sentence, explain your vision, your company, your value proposition, all in one sentence. The toughest to write. It's absolutely the toughest to write, but it's the most essential because you need to be able to catch somebody's eye and say, hey, this is my company, this is what it does, before he exits the elevator, let's just say. Okay? So what we can do is let's just pause here for a moment. And I guess whoever's in startups or whoever has their startups, let's just see if you can create an elevator pitch for the startup you're at, you're working for, or it's your own. And even if you don't have one, just make up a fictitious one just to see if you can get this elevator pitch down. Okay, so I think 5 minutes would be good, right? You guys done? Okay, let's just start with whoever's done first, right? You want to go? Go ahead. So let a pitch. You guys be investors and decide whether you'd go with the pitch or not. Okay? Okay, first thing, too long, extremely long. He would have walked. He would have walked out of the elevator before you were at extrasensory. It has to be really short, really quick. I mean, just the purpose just is, the first line was great. You kind of caught the attention at what Brain Buddies does, right? But then when you went for the full stop, it just went on from there. So it has to be all combined in one sentence, though. Right? Great, though. Sure. Just make edits to the first line. Yeah, okay, let's go with somebody else for next. Yeah, okay. A bit long, but okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting. Did everybody get it? Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. The only thing I would advise you against is using superlative words. Why? Because let the other person judge. Is it beautiful or not? But yeah, it gave the value proposition. It gave what it was about. And it gave the other person saying, okay, do I want to know more about this HR system? Do I not want to know about this HR system? Short, sweet, and to the point. But yeah, avoid superlatives for sure. Anybody else? That's fine. It again gave the essence. Now, when you're saying is developing, obviously that won't be your pitch, right? It has to be developed, yeah, or offering, or bringing to the market something. It has to be that it's already out. It cannot be something that is about to come out, right? Okay, I lost you there. Why did I lose you there? Is because solves problems. What kind of problems? I would be confused at saying, okay, social enterprise, what kind? Um, what's the key there? What is the differentiating factor between you and somebody else? Why should somebody come to you? That should be in your line, that we solve this problem for this, right? Or this is a suite of problems we solve for this company, right? So I get who your audience is, who you're actually going after. What I don't get is what value you're providing. Okay? Okay, good, but a bit long again. Why long? Because it should be same day delivery. Instead of saying hours, same day delivery of fresh produce. You nail it, right? Sourced and sold the same day, right? Use one word instead of going ahead with the longer sentences, because this shorter. I mean, if you use one word, you have more space to talk about something else. Can you say it again? Okay, so the job seeker produces a 30-second video. Okay, so if it's sorry. Okay. Okay. So see, now I was a bit confused here through a 30-second video. right? What I don't understand is who's producing the 30-second video. So it would be like find a job, you know, by posting a 30-second video, or you market yourself by posting a 30-second video online, right? The value proposition has to be there. That's what you have to highlight, but you have to highlight it in a way that the other person can understand what you're doing, right? Because again, there's so much noise, you want to kind of bypass that. Anybody else? You want to go again? Okay. I would remove the genius in them, because again, you're going into the superlative. It helps develop brain activities for children, right? Or the unique selling point where every child is a genius, right? It could go against you. Yeah, see, it kind of could go against you to be negative. Again, stick to what you guys are doing. Just stick to it, plain and simple. Avoid, anything which is grand, or avoid anything which propels you to another level before giving anybody else a chance to actually use the service. I think that's key. So yeah, keep it short, keep it simple. Anybody you meet, I mean, even if you network today, try and use the elevator pitch and see how it works. I mean, it should help. Okay, now, the major point of this is how to write a press release. It's a daunting task. It cannot be done in one go. You have to have various edits. You have to have fresh eyes looking at it every so often. It has to be to the point. The first few lines, like an elevator pitch, have to give off everything that you want to talk about. If a writer gets bored in the first 3 lines, that's it. He's not going to read further. The first 3 lines have to explain each and everything in detail about the value you are bringing to them. Why should they write about you, right? The heading has to be good, and nowadays the subject matter of your email that you're creating, that has to be good. That has to be catchy enough for them to actually open it, right? If you're giving somebody an exclusive, the first word in that email in the email subject has to be exclusive. If you're developing something like the world's biggest whatever, or if it's the world's smallest charger, world's quickest lightning cable or something, that is your subject line for to go ahead with this email. World's smallest, etc. Don't go into the nitty-gritties of what you're doing or what value you're bringing in the subject line. It has to be very short, very precise, something that's catchy, something that put yourself in their position. If you're a journalist and if you're getting 100 emails a day, which ones would you open, right? Something that is offering something different, or something that's offering something that's totally genius, right? Always make sure, start with your headline. Have 3, 4, 5 headlines and a sub-headline, and then choose from them. Always narrow it down. Start from your headline, move down to the first paragraph. First 2 lines should explain everything. Always include a quote from the CEO, always. Because if they want to use it, it's always good to hear what he or she has to say about the product or about the service. Always use a quote. Keep it simple. Again, avoid big words, avoid superlatives, avoid them completely, because you need to give them the chance to see what your product is all about, okay? Another good thing is if you have data, use data, right? A lot of people don't want to give hard facts about numbers. They don't want to give, the digits in millions or thousands or whatever. They don't want to give it. You don't want to give it, don't give it. Use X. Use 10x increase, 50x increase, 30x increase. Use hard facts like that to propel the article to be of more value to somebody who would read, right? This product helps you in this way. It increases, increases speed by 10x. Or it could be through this partnership, we increase the user base by 20x, 30x. If you don't want to use hard numbers, a lot of people don't want to disclose numbers. That's fine. Don't disclose, but still have some sort of data to back up what you are doing and what you're trying to achieve through the press release, okay? Now, obviously, grammatically, those things are all there, you know, but you answer those questions in your press release. Who is my target audience? What am I doing with this product? Why have I come out with it? What was the problem that was there that made me create a product or service that solved it, right? That is key. There's a gap in the market. What was the gap? How are you fulfilling that gap? I would advise against going long press releases. One short press release, one page, that should be it. And that's all that you need to kind of go ahead with. Going with your press release is the email that you send. Again, super short and have all the information in the press release. But again, the first 2-3 lines of the email have to be exactly what you're trying to sell. Sell yourself in 3 lines in the email. Always give them the option that, okay, if you want more questions, if you want an interview, we're happy to provide that for you, but keep the email short, right? Always keep the email short. Always get right to the point. The moment you swerve here and there, and you're going to lose that person immediately. So try not to lose the writer. Try to always keep on top of the ball. Make your colleagues read it. Make other people who are privy to your product service read it again and again. Make changes. It's never going to happen in the first go. The press release will never be perfect in the first go. Okay? Going with the press release, it's always good to have images, and it's always good to have video. How that helps is the images will always help explain the position better, right? You can show what you're doing through images, through videos. Video, again, have high quality videos, have high quality images. Always send your logo, photographs of your logo with the email, with your pitch. Why? Again, you don't want them going back and forth. If they have everything in an email, chances are higher that they will publish. If they have to come back to you with a lot of stuff, chances are they're going to say, forget it, there's too much back and forth. Let's not bother with that, okay? Videos, keep it very short. Product photos, again, short, sweet, everything should be there, okay? Now, once you have the press kit, step 2 is create a press list. What is a press list? A press list is a list that you will, of writers, of people who you want to reach out to. Be very, very careful with this press list. Why? You don't want to spam writers who have nothing to do with that beat. Just because he writes for TechCrunch doesn't mean he'll be interested in your article, right? Take time with it. Research. Say, you know, for example, if you have a product aimed at children, right? You're not going to go to a writer just because at TechCrunch just because he's there, but he actually writes about big data. He's never going to write about you. Research which reporters have that sort of a beat, a tech beat that writes about children's products, for example. If you are into beauty, who are you going to target? You're not just going to target the tech media. You will target media which writes about beauty and lifestyle, right? Research who those writers are, and then go ahead and find out their details, and then kind of try and approach them. But the press release has to be extremely thorough. Go after the kind of people who you know will write about those things. A lot of times you get no replies is because they have no correlation with your subject matter, right? If they're a crime reporter and you send them something about music, they're not going to write about you, no matter what. Even though now, if you look at it, even though they say tech, it still doesn't mean, under tech now, there's so many subsections because of the products that they're not going to, if you don't approach the right tech writer, he's not going to write, right? It's as simple as that. Okay, I'm apparently very, very short on time. So, okay, we just went through this. Identify the target publications, identify your writers, record their contact information, but be careful, don't spam them. For one press release, just go after them twice. Once, and then maybe a few days later, a polite reminder, but do not spam, because then they're going to just simply block you. Yeah, see, they simply go block. Another really good thing is make friends with them. You know, if you have the option, meet them. If you have the option to connect with them, arrange for a one-on-one meeting, arrange for something, arrange for like a coffee with them, you know, so take them out if possible. If you're in the same jurisdiction, share their stories, comment on their writing, you know, try to connect with them at their level, right? Again, they might become, you know, it's always good to kind of nurture this relationship. But even if you're nurturing a particular relationship, it's not necessary that they're going to write each time, but don't get disheartened. They will write when there is a story. So in 90% of the cases, it's always good to build a good relationship with the journalist community, and especially if you are bringing something of value to them, always keep in touch with them. If somebody has written about you once, keep in touch. You know, send them updates on a normal basis, which they don't need to publish, but the fact that you are maintaining a good rapport with them. Okay, yeah, don't chase up for more than twice a week. Don't think that just because they've said no once, they'll never write about you. You have to keep at it, but keep at it in a polite way. Don't spam. Just be careful of not spamming them. Okay, so with all this, I think it should be easy to get featured. You have a better sense of getting featured now, hopefully. Any questions before we wrap up? Yes. These slides will be published, but you can always send me an email and I can send them to you. But I think they will be published, right? Yeah, they will be published. Anything else? Yes. Yes. No, it's just bringing you never directly mention anything about your competitors. You just bring out the value of your product versus what's in the market at that point, right? But you never mention a competitor. You never kind of go after somebody in your press release. It's just what makes you stand out from the crowd, basically. Yeah. Is it okay to use? But why would you, for what? But how would that help? If you're using a stock photo as, say, as like an image where you have kind of a description on it, or you're using it? But shots of people using the app should be your own. It's advisable against using stock photos, because then that just shows you're lazy and you haven't made the effort to do anything. But stock photos are only used when you're trying to, you know, describe how to use the product. Say, you know, press this, press that, press the other. You can use stock photos, but other than that, it should be your own. Anything else? Okay, thank you. I hope this helps. And yeah, good luck with your PR. If you need any PR help, you can always email me. I will gladly try to help you out as well. Thank you.